Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay. I want to tell a little story as a way of introducing today's topic. So I teach mindfulness and meditation for a group of people that are learning how to interact with their clients who have experienced trauma. And I teach on Saturday and also on Sunday. And on Saturday, I gave a lot of information, like teaching information, and then offered meditation that I wanted them to practice offering to each other. It turns out that uh, I didn't use time management well. Well, let me put that differently. I didn't manage time well. So they didn't have enough time for each of them to offer each other that particular meditation. So I finished the class feeling disappointed for them and frustrated with myself because who is in charge of time for that class? Moi. And frustrated and angry too. Partly because this is not a new situation. I've been by that I mean I've made the same mistake before. Well, the the practice that we're going to do today was developed by two of the United States probably best known self-compassion instructors. Dr. Kristin Neff, Neff, is the one who actually developed the practice that we're about to do. And Chris Germer is one of her associates that the two of them together have produced a program helping people learn self-compassion. And we've talked about self-compassion before. We may have even done a version of this particular practice before, but I'm bringing it up now because using this practice for myself on Saturday afternoon and evening was really helpful because come Sunday morning, when it was time to teach again, there was no longer this sort of grievance that I had against myself. So this practice is from my perspective, it's surprisingly helpful. It it doesn't make everything okay, but it does loosen up the self-directed emotions like mm, frustration, disappointment, and anger. So before we go further into the practice, I'd like to I'd like you to consider if you can bring to mind something that you've done or said or didn't do or didn't say, and you find that upsetting, frustrating, or disappointing, or you feel guilty or ashamed or embarrassed. However, it's important that this thing that you're looking for be mild, like it's in the mild and moderate category, not something catastrophic. Okay, would you raise your hand if you have something like that in mind? I see one, I see two, three, four, five, Hmm. Okay, so not everybody's hand is up. Hallelujah. I'm glad for you that didn't put your hand up. So I offer the practice to you anyway, so that you will have this practice as one of the tools or strategies for when something does come up that you find yourself hard on yourself about. Okay, and for the rest of us that did have our hands up, we get to use this practice for that particular event or situation that you found painful. Okay, so I want to explain the three parts of this practice. There's mindfulness, which we've already touched on a little bit. It's the part, it's the capacity to be able to notice what's going on inside you. In particular, for this practice, it's about what's going on inside you. The thought processes, the emotions, the judgments, and even the sensations. So when you scanned for something that you did or didn't do that you found upsetting, that's a form of mindfulness, of being able to notice what's going on and pick something out. Okay, so there's mindfulness, there's common humanity, in the sense that most of the time when we are upset with ourselves, we isolate. And the notion of common humanity is that everybody, or rather, what you are feeling is part of the human context. And you're not alone in feeling that. And there are humans before you and humans after you that will feel the same emotion. The situation may be very particular and unique to you, but the emotion and maybe some of the thoughts, those are common. Okay. And then the third piece is self-directed kindness. Self-directed kindness. Okay. So those are the three pieces that we'll be using as we progress through this practice. Are there any questions or comments before we begin? I have one. Hi, Shara. Glad that you're with us. Yes, hi. Hi. Okay, so back to my question. Comments or questions? Okay, then let's begin. So come into a posture that's as comfortable as you can manage. And during this practice, if you need to change your posture, you're welcome to. And your eyes can be open or closed or even halfway closed. And you're welcome to open your eyes or close your eyes as you like as the practice progresses. I want you to know that you can do this practice or not. You don't have to do the practice. It's totally fine to sit in the role of observer and watch how the practice unfurls. And as Kevin has alluded to in previous times, it's fine to go into the practice somewhat and then realize you're connecting to something that's more interesting and more engaging than whatever I happen to be saying. Then you stay with what intrigues you. Stay there. You don't have to follow my directions at all. Okay. So for the mindfulness part, we're going to do a soft landing and then pick it up from there. So for this soft landing, I want you to particularly notice where you feel pressure from what is supporting your body. Where you feel pressure from what is supporting your body. In the past, we called this grounding or rooting. And it's always available, well, most of the time, this sensation of pressure from the earth drawing you towards the center and supporting you at the same time, that sensation is available, is accessible, and it helps bring you here when you tune into it. So if the earth is supporting you from below, the sky is supporting you from above in a way that is invitational. Like the sky invites you to extend and expand. So notice how that feels in your body. The invitation to extend and expand. Good. So the earth is supporting you below. The sky is supporting you above. And now bring your attention to the area around your heart. And let that be the link or the conduit between what's below and what's above. The area around your heart is the area of connection, connecting what's below to what's above, connecting what's above to what's below. Okay. So from this relatively grounded and open and centered state, I'd like you to bring to mind whatever it is that you did or didn't do that feels awkward for you or unpleasant. Remember, this is just a mild to moderate event, not a big deal, because we're actually taking care of ourselves to not overwhelm ourselves or trigger ourselves or flood ourselves with emotion. So we're working with something small first. Something that you did or didn't do, something you said or didn't say, that there's some sense of regret or frustration. So what I want you to notice is how that feels in your body. There are distinct sensations connected to those emotions. Feel into those. Go towards them with your awareness. And if this is getting intense or a little much, you can pull back at any time. And you could also put a hand over your heart as a gesture of tenderness and support. Yeah. So what's happening now is we are mindful of the discomfort. We're turning our attention towards the discomfort. And now I'd like you to ask yourself, is it okay to be with this? Is it okay to do this? And if it is, great, we'll continue. And if it's not, that's okay. You can pull out or pull back. So let's take a moment to greet and validate the sensations. And here's one way you might do that, by saying hello, like hello hurt or hello discomfort. And you can do this however it feels right to you. Now, check in if there are particular emotions arising for you now. And if so, you can greet them, name them, and validate them too. It might be hello sadness, or hello frustration, or hello anger. And as you do this, I'd like you to notice if there's a little more space around the emotion that allows it to be there, not running away from it, not trying to bury it or ignore it. So here's the thing. This painful emotion and these uncomfortable sensations, these are part of the human experience. And here we turn our attention to the common humanity. These emotions are part of living. And you may feel alone in them, but you are not alone. Everyone feels like this from time to time. And many others in the same situation as you would feel just as you do. This is common humanity. Allowing yourself to know that your feelings and your experience are part of the human experience. If you'd like, you can put a hand where you feel the most distress or the most discomfort. And tune into the sense of touch as a gesture of kindness. And here we turn our attention to self self-directed kindness. Check if any of these sentences has any resonance for you. May I be kind to myself. I give myself the compassion I need. I love myself no matter what. And if you like, you can imagine a person who knows you well and loves you much. Imagine that person whispering something into your ear now that you need to hear, something that brings comfort or support. What would that be? Someone who knows you well and loves you much is whispering to you just what you need to hear. What are those words? Now, see if you can offer those same words to yourself, letting them be in your mind and heart and body. Let those words make a real difference in how you feel. We're coming towards the end of the practice. And you can release any attention on the thing you said or didn't say, what you did or didn't do that felt uncomfortable. Release attention on the sensations and emotions. And just notice how you feel right now. Maybe nothing special. Maybe a little lighter, a little more ease internally. Just practice being with yourself just as you are, just like this. Okay, so consider making an intention to remember this practice when you're feeling stressed or upset. Integrating this practice into your toolbox of techniques and strategies. Remembering the first part is mindfulness of what's happening, of sensations and emotions. The second part is calm humanity, reminding yourself that what you're feeling is part of the human experience. And the third part is self-directed kindness, finding a way to be kind, supportive, encouraging to yourself. Let your hands be wherever they'll be comfortable, and let your breathing be easy. And reconnect with your posture. And if your eyes have are closed, let them flutter open, reminding you of where you are, your location. And when you're ready, bring your attention back to the screen, letting yourself feel different. Okay. So there is what Kristin Neff calls the self-compassion break. Like, give yourself a break. Okay. So I'm curious what that practice is like for you. Uh, Laurel, would you be willing to lead the discussion, both about the practice and then opening it up to other topics that may not have anything to do with today's practice?